Alright guys, it's 681 Shadow here, and I just wanted to do an update video today. I know you might have been a little spooked by the title of this video, but I'm not going anywhere, content's still going to be flowing and everything. But I wanted to take some time and just talk about my thoughts as to the games I've been covering, mainly being Honkai Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero, and then also the upcoming games that I do plan on playing, because we are close to a few of these games actually releasing here, which is super exciting, honestly. And as you guys may have seen from the past couple uploads, I am on my vacation for a couple more days. So different setup here, and this video is just going to be me talking to the camera. So if you guys want to, put me in another tab, do what you're doing, play whatever games you're playing, that's all good here. But I want to talk about how I'm feeling towards these games, because just to give you a sense of what my thoughts are for content, and also just for me to think about this a bit more, because I feel like when you're away from everything, like on a vacation, you kind of just start to think about these things kind of more. So it's kind of been what I've been doing these past couple days here. But starting out with the current games I'm covering, which are going to be the two Hoyo ones, Star Rail and Zenless. So starting with Star Rail is pretty much still going to be my main game at the moment. I'm at a point where it's like I accept that Star Rail is not at the peak of what it used to be back in like the 1.x and like early 2.x updates, right? But there are still things I enjoy about the game. I'm going to keep playing the game. And Star Rail content is probably going to be not the greatest until 4.0 drops, which we probably are maybe like 2-3 months away from that. Because I know we're getting 3.7, we're getting 3.8 for the Penacony, like extra stories, which could be cool depending on how they handle it. And then after that, I'm assuming will be 4.0, which is always exciting. I think a 0.0 patch is always exciting for Hoyo games because we get a whole new area. A lot of people try to come back to the game, so we'll see what they're cooking for that. But really the main thing outside of my typical, like, should you pull videos and whatnot, is going to be the Currency Wars mode coming out in 3.7. I definitely do want to try that out, see if I make some content on it, because from the little bit I think we saw, or that they kind of teased at the end of the last dev live stream, it does look interesting. So we'll see once we have more info on it. Definitely going to be making videos about it. So that's really where I am for HSR right now. I still play it pretty much daily. So that game's not going anywhere anytime soon. But I can't say the same thing for Zenless, because ever since the early, 2.x, like I would say probably late 2.0, early 2.1, I started feeling like this. Zenless hasn't been the most appealing game to me in terms of playing every day, at least getting my dailies and whatnot, which sure, gacha games, you're not meant to play every day, but in the ones I've played over the years, I really like going in and doing at least my daily stuff. I may not do a ton of stuff every day, but even just logging in for 5-10 minutes, just getting a couple quick things done for the dailies, I do enjoy doing that. But Zenless is a game that I've kind of struggled to keep up with, not because there's a lot to do, which I mean sometimes there are when it comes to events and stuff like that, but even for dailies, I've gone a week at a time without logging into Zenless multiple times between 2.1 and now with 2.3. And I think it's that Zenless is not doing anything that's particularly bad. I just don't think they're doing enough to keep me as interested, especially with the upcoming games coming out, which we're going to talk about in a minute here. But I do think that while Zenless does have some cool stuff that they tease, we have some cool characters that were teased, I mainly just do the story and the end game at this point, which is cool. And I haven't done the 2.3 story yet because I've been away, but I do definitely plan on doing that once I'm back home. But I think that if Zenless stays pretty much the way it is and just kind of sticks to its own formula, if these other games that are coming out are really good or they really resonate with me, I can see myself dropping Zenless. It's not a thing of Zenless doing anything bad, but if there's something that is going to better serve my time, I'm going to prioritize that over a game where I'm not logging in for a while. Maybe I'll pop in here and there just to do the story quests once every 6 weeks, but besides that, I'm not really too attached to Zenless right now. But if they do something to make it better, then obviously we'll tap back in. So that's kind of where I am for Zenless now. So to move on to these upcoming games, we have 4 main titles here, and for the first 2 I put them in order of release because they are coming out both within the next week and a half or so. So first off, we have Chaos Zero Nightmare, which I did just post a reaction for. This game's dropping in literally a few days, dropping this coming Wednesday, which is super exciting. I only have to play maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours of the beta, and the beta that we had most recently, a few weeks ago. And the gameplay was very interesting to me. Because I do like my turn-based type stuff, and this one's kind of like a card-based, turn-based system, which is pretty cool. I definitely do want to give it a fair shot once the actual game is out and I could put more time into it. And I will give a review both for this game and also for every other game once they drop. Because I do like giving my thoughts overall about the games and really like thinking about everything before I decide, am I going to keep playing this game? Am I just going to play the game for a little bit and then move on to something else? Because I feel like with how many gacha games that we're about to have, once all these like upcoming ones that we know about are going to drop, people are going to have to make their choices, right? They're going to focus on certain games over other games because realistically we can't play all of them, right? So, or we can't play all of them continuously. So we'll see for Chaos Zero Nightmare, but the game does look very good from the little bit I played and also everything I've seen so far. Next up here, we have Duet Night Abyss, which actually drops exactly a week after Chaos Zero Nightmare. So I'll have to get as much playtime as I can in Chaos Zero Nightmare so I can be ready for Duet Night Abyss that next week. I haven't gotten to play the game yet because I only started following it like around when the no gacha aspect was confirmed, which is super awesome, and I think is going to be very exciting for a lot of gacha players because it does seem like they are going to focus on it being a game first, which is super nice. And also because all the characters are easy to, well, not easy, but all the characters are able to be farmed given enough time and, grinding. I think it's going to be great, especially from a content creator perspective, because now I don't have that limitation I have with gacha games, because with, my means in terms of life and money, I don't have the means to pay for every character in any gacha game that I've ever played. But because I can grind for every character in Duet Night Abyss, I don't have that limitation anymore. It's solely based on how much time I'm able to put in to the grinding, and then also the quality of gear that I get, which we'll see how their systems are once we get the actual game out. But I do like that I'll be able to experience every character and probably give me a more complete experience of the game before I do give it a review. And similarly to Chaos Zero Nightmare, once I get to that point, I've been playing it for maybe like a few days to like a week or so, I'll give it my review and then I'll see like, is it a game I'm going to stick with, or am I going to not play it either as much or not really anymore? Because unlike Chaos Zero Nightmare, I haven't played any Duet Night Abyss, so that's going to be a game that's going to be super interesting to try out. And from everything I've seen, it does look pretty cool. So yeah, we'll definitely see what it's going to be looking like there. Next up is Bleach Soul Resonance. I only uploaded one reaction for this like months ago, but Bleach is quite literally my favorite anime. I love Bleach. I was so excited to see it getting a mobile game. Info wasn't like too crazy for it, but recently it did open pre-registration and announced a like mid to late November release date. But the only unfortunate thing, or well, I found out it's unfortunate by just people talking on Twitter and like the community. The game got a change of publisher. Now it's being published by Crunchyroll. And the reason I say it's unfortunate from what I've seen is that for Crunchyroll gacha games of the past, they have been pretty mismanaged. Now, I didn't do a ton of research on it. It's just the general consensus of what I've seen. But I'm going to hope for the best because I do love Bleach. I am going to try the game on launch. And then we'll see from there if it's going to be, a good game or just something that's kind of like just going to be like a phase. But we will see from there. But then the final game is Chasing Kaleidorider. The one game I actually got into a beta and got to play a lot of the beta for. In case you didn't see my full review of the beta, the first beta was very fun. I did enjoy it a lot, and I think the game will only get more polished as time goes on, which is super nice. And unlike the other 3 upcoming titles here, there's no extra info about like when there's going to be a next beta or a release window or anything like that. But I definitely plan to be covering the game as we get more information, plus also when the official release comes out. So that is going to be a game I'm very excited for because the gameplay is pretty interesting. I do like it a lot. It also is kind of like a card-based kind of system, but a bit different from like a Chaos Zero Nightmare. But we'll see how Kaleidorider stands up, and also when it comes out too, because sometimes these games be taking their time to come out. But either way, that's where I stand right now in terms of these games. Definitely a lot of cool stuff coming out, and I just want to give everything an honest shot, while also like expanding the types of content I'm doing, because as you guys have seen, over the past few months, I've been doing more reactions too, just to give you guys more content, also just kind of be a bit more myself, and not just like spewing out information, which I still love the informative stuff, but I do want to have a mix of both. So I hope you all are enjoying that, but that's going to be it for me here. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed and want to see more content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But I will see you all next time, and also next week for Chaos Zero Nightmare.